So would you believe me if I told you I had to literally restart this stuff 3 times in order to get a merchant system where you can buy into your inventory and sell? Yeah, it's been pretty brutal, but it's been pretty good, and I now have at least something here. So in this video, I want to basically share what I've been able to make in about 46 hours total logged of focused work on this stuff. So for reference, whenever I sit down and work on anything, I usually like to record how long I've spent on it. And so far for this video game, I have spent 46 total sat down laptop hours, whatever you want to say. So I basically just want to run you through what we have at the moment. I'm just going to turn off the sound for now as well. So I've basically been focusing on building basically effectively mostly the skeleton of the actual stuff. Now, funnily enough, if you're not familiar already, I use ChatGPT to basically help me create all the script and the assets and so on and so forth. So far we have the intro scene. There is music, but I'm not going to play it. At the moment, you can click new game, and then from here, it basically gives some sort of context in terms of sort of what's going on. There is music, but I'll just sort of mute it at the moment. And this is almost the intro scene. Now I'm trying to make a game which is more of a intense sort of RPG. I mean, if you know a game like a Heads Will Roll Reforged, more of those sort of I'm not sure what they call it, but just basically a very difficult sort of RPG with sort of concepts such as if you get injuries, some of the injuries might be permanent, and just generally trying to make it a bit more difficult. Then from here, we then move on to the character creation scene. Now, effectively here, and for reference, none of this is polished at the moment. I'm just trying to focus on having a game which is from start to finish. And obviously, I will polish as it goes. But generally speaking, you can obviously type in your name, of your character. You've got strength, agility, stamina, and vitality, which obviously you can play about however you like. You then have to randomize sort of what you start with. So in this case, we basically have, you'll roll random weapon. So for example, Rusty Mace. There was sort of damage and reach stuff stats before, but I've been changing a few things, so I need to add this back. But generally speaking, you get like sort of different weapons that you can sort of get, and they'll have different sorts of damage and sort of reach in terms of how long they are. You'll also get a random sort of consumable, and there's usually armor as well, but I've just changed a few things. But usually there'll be 2 sets of armor that you'll start with as well. As you can see more towards the bottom as well, is you've also got things such as sort of effectively traits. So you'll start with 3 random traits. Now, at the moment, I think there's about 5 or 6 traits. I'll look to add a ton more, but for example, and obviously I know it's not that easy to sort of see, but basically, for example, fast reflexes, plus 10% dodge chance, but minus 10% health, right? So these traits just, I think, add to more of the replayability, and so I think that's useful. And something which I've just completely didn't show you there, but I'll show you in a minute. I then got sort of the town scene where you can effectively go in and out of these different places. So, we've got the armor smith, the arena, all these things. And for reference, all of these graphics were made by ChatGPT as well, like, and all the stuff. That's really cool. One of the things that I've got here for the armor smith, which I've been working on, you can talk. So he just basically to sort of give a bit of dialogue there. In the future, I think what I'll plan to do is maybe like perhaps you can take quests from them and such or whatever. I then have buy and sell armor button. So like I said before, right, effectively, you can buy and sell. It goes through the merchant sort of inventory is your inventory. Obviously, at the moment, I need to obviously show the gold and stuff, but I've at least got this core mechanic settled, which is good. But that's pretty much what I've got so far in terms of that. Now, what I just want to show you as well, which I've also done so far, is I've also made it so that, well, I basically made a save and load system, or at least I'm almost done with it. So, for example, if I click the escape button, it's then going to pull up effectively a menu. So I've got continue, which takes me back. I've got these save slots, which at the moment there's no sort of like next ones. I'll obviously have that. But if you're familiar with RPGs, Obviously, if you click something, do you want to overwrite the save, which obviously is incredibly small, something I need to change. Or if I click load and then click something, do you want to load the save? And when I do that, it basically loads that, or sorry, it saves that, and that's all there. Settings, I've got nothing there at the moment, and then quit effectively. Well, obviously it needs to be added, but I pretty much got a lot of the skeleton sort of pretty much made. At the moment, my next focus is pretty much getting this inventory stuff fixed because there's still a few issues that are popping up. But this is pretty much where I'm at. Now, I think that this is really quite interesting because this has taken me, well, pretty much 46 hours of just sort of sat down working time. And I think I'm making some pretty good progress. Now, all of the sort of, like the scripts here that you sort of see on the side, all of that was made and suggested by ChatGPT. Now, is it stuff which is, well, it's been a very interesting experience making it. Right now, in terms of the progress I'm making, I believe I'm probably going to be able to get a demo out by maybe sort of in the next few months, so maybe around September time. And yeah, like that's sort of where I'm at the moment. Now, I think my sort of focus is, can I get something from start to finish, right? Where they can perhaps, actually create their character, whatever, go into the town, have some fight scenes, some dialogue, and then get some form of ending. But overall, it's been an interesting experience because when I have ChatGPT that writes all the code, it really is just a matter of giving the GPT enough context, enough information so that it can give you the right outputs. And that's been really, really key. Now, I'm not saying this has been a streamlined process, but what I will say is it's definitely helped. And in terms of the hours I've sort of spent on this and the hours most people, from what I can see, spend on sort of indie games and how far they get, I think give it a couple months and I probably can get a demo out and get this being quite playable. So this is pretty much where we're at the moment in terms of what we've got. If you're sort of interested in sort of what this game could look like further, feel free to follow along or, leave a comment and let me know what you think about how things are going. Overall, this is what we've got so far, and I'll catch you soon.